Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Mazia Umairah binti Muhammad Suhaimi. My student ID is 2021201378.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Norazima Nazira binti Zaid Kamaruddin. My student ID is 2021475248.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nuridaya binti Abdullah and my student ID is 2021623202.
Japan is an island country lying off the east coast of Asia. It consists of a great string of islands in a north-east-southwest arc that stretches for approximately 1,500 miles, 2,400 kilometers through the western North Pacific Ocean. Nearly the entire land area is taken up by the country's four main islands from north to south. These are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. Honshu is the largest of the four, followed in size by Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku. In addition, there are numerous smaller islands, the major groups of which are the Ryukyu Island, including the island of Okinawa, to the south and west of Kyushu and the Izu, Bonin, Ogasawara, and Volcano Cousin Islands to the south and east of central Honshu. The national capital Tokyo in east central Honshu is one of the world's most populous cities. Inflation is the term used to describe the rate of increase in the overall price of goods and services over time. The purchasing value of your money decreases as a result of inflation, which raises the price of everything you buy. For the analysis trend for the last 10 years, inflation rate of Japan will decrease from 4.8% to 3.7% for 2011 to 2012. The inflation rate for 2013 until 2015 were acceptable, as it kept decreasing from 2.6% to 2.3% until 1.4%. However, inflation rate will increase continuously from 1.6% to 2.2% until 2.4% for the next 3 years after 2015. As for the inflation rate in 2019, fell to 2.2% until 1.9% in 2020. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak, Japan's inflation rate was drastically increased until it reached 3.5% in 2021. For the inflation rate of 2022, it shows that the rate increased continuously at a slow pace from January 0.5% until April 2.42%. However, the inflation rate will decrease in May 2.41% to June 2.31%. For July to August, inflation rate increased from 2.61% to 3.01% and decreased to 3% for September 2022. Last but not least, it increased drastically in October 2022, which was 3.80%. As for the next is issue related to inflation rate in Japan. There are two factors that lead Japan's lower inflation rate. First, the majority of Japan's wheat is imported via a government agency that set resale prices for periods over 6 months at a time. Due to this, the nation has been able to dodge the hardships effects of the increase in wheat prices that followed Russia's invasion of Ukraine. For the second factor, Japan has the slower pace in recovering their economy due to COVID-19 outbreaks than other G7 economies. According to the organization, Japan's weak domestic demand keeps prices low. Low wages are one factor contributing to the sluggish demand. More than a third of all jobs are part-time or contract labor, which is one of the factors preventing higher salary. According to Focus Economy, union choose job stability over increased income.
Causes of inflation. The first one is cost-push inflation. When money is moved from one economic sector to another, cost-push inflation happens. In particular, higher prices for finished items are eventually passed along to customers as a result of rising manufacturing expenses such as those associated with raw materials and labor. As a leading indicator of national trends, Japan's capital cities' core consumer prices increased at their quickest annual rate in 40 years in November and went above to the central bank's 2% target for a 6th consecutive month, indicating broader inflationary pressure. Monetary inflation. A prolonged growth in a nation's money supply is referred to as monetary inflation or currency area. Price inflation is a rise in the average level of prices for goods and services. It depends on a number of variables, particularly public expectations, the underlying state and development of the economy, and the transmission mechanism. According to the Bank of Japan, the bank shall pursue a policy aimed at achieving price stability, thereby contributing to the sound growth of the national economy. Because it serves as the cornerstone for the nation's economic activities, price stability is crucial. Based on the idea that monetary policy should be directed at reaching price stability, thereby contributing to the sound growth of national economy, the Bank of Japan implements its monetary policy. The policy board examined the price stability target in the medium to long term, adopted in February 2014 at the meeting held today in the context above of principle. As a result, it made the decision to update the monetary policy framework and create the price stability target. The bank is aware that as various organizations work to improve the competitiveness and growth potential of Japan's economy, the inflation rate necessary to maintain price stability will increase. In order to anchor the sustainable rate of inflation forward, where the prices are predicted to rise modestly, it is deemed appropriate to state the aim of 2% in explicit terms. The third one is demand pull inflation. An economy experiences inflation when prices for products generally increase. Demand pull inflation, which economists refer to as too many yen chasing too few commodities, drives up prices as a result of supply shortages. This kind of inflation might also result from an increase in the overall demand. Then, what happens when a rise in commodity prices triggers a rising wage price spiral by heightening inflation expectations as a result of its second round effects? A central bank may occasionally need to respond by tightening the money supply. In fact, the central banks in US and Europe have decided to adjust monetary easing, and for what I hear, this was done out of caution in order to avoid such repercussions. It seems unlikely, though, that the current rise in commodity prices brought on by supply side factors will immediately result in a steady increase in salaries and prices in Japan. This is due to the fact that Japan imports the majority of its resources and the economy has little demand pull inflationary pressures. Japan has experienced runaway inflation following the first oil shock in 1973 as a typical example of increased inflation brought on by second round impacts. In his well-known study, Komiya Ryutaro makes compelling case that when the first oil shock hit, excessive monetary easing had stoked excessive demand and inflation had already reached 40%. The impact of import inflation brought on by rising crude oil prices was added to this predicament. Following the spring labor management pay negotiations, earnings rose by almost 30% in 1974, while the CPI rates of rise shot up to 25%.
The word unemployment describes as a situation where a person actively searching for a job but is unable to find it. It also shows on how well is the company of the country. Unemployment is caused by a lot of reasons that could come from both the demand side or the employer and the supply side, or maybe it could be the worker. Based on the table, it shows that Japan unemployment rate on 2012 decreased to 4.36%, different 0.19% with year 2011 rate. As for year 2013 until 2018, the rate were decreased until it was 2.40%, but then in 2019 the rate was the same as 2018. On 2020 and 2021, the unemployment rate increased up to 0.40%, which was 2.80%. This was because of the global pandemic COVID-19 that causes many people lost their job and income. There are few issues of unemployment. The first one would be recession. The second would be voluntarily leaving one job to find another. The third reason would be depression. The fourth, job outsourcing. And the last one would be technological improvement. The types of unemployment. The first one would be cyclical unemployment. Cyclical unemployment is influenced by declining demand. Whenever an economy's demand for goods and service is insufficient, businesses are unable to offer jobs and pay decent wages. As according Keynesian economics, cyclical unemployment is a natural outcome of the business cycle throughout periods of recession. If all consumers become fearful at the same time, consumers will try to increase their saving at the same time, resulting in a reduction in spending and businesses being incapable of employing all employable workers. The next one would be frictional unemployment. Frictional unemployment happens when there's temporary changes in workers' life, where they have to immigrate to a new city and must find new work opportunities. Frictional unemployment as well includes the people who are just entering the workforce, such as recently graduated from college. The third one, structural unemployment. Structural unemployment is created by an imbalance between both the demographics of employees and the types of jobs available. Either when job and opportunities are created, but workers are lack of required and necessary skills, or where there are employees available but still no jobs to fill. In the farming industry, for example, Much of the work is becoming mechanized, which means that fewer farmers are needed and many are laid off where they use machines to do everything as it can take less time. When these farmers move to the cities looking for work, they may find that there aren't any similar job and position available where they can use and utilize their skills. Last but not least, seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment could happen when there are different industries or parts of the labor market that are available during different seasons, especially for countries that go through summer, autumn, spring, and also winter. For instance, unemployment goes up in the winter months because many agricultural jobs end once crops are harvested in the fall, and those workers are left to find new jobs.
Conclusion. The conclusion of this report, we can realize that Japan has low inflation rate than other countries. Japan also faced shortage of goods during COVID-19 pandemic. However, Japan found other alternatives to overcome problems. Inflation in Japan is being held in check by a number of factors, including governmental price restrictions, an aging population, and negative interest rates. For the unemployment, it were high at first, then slowly decreased even though COVID-19 outbreak started at the end of 2019 until 2021. It shows that Japan are able to control unemployment rate by hiring employees to support their economy from the worst scenarios.